I stand here today having built a career telling stories through dance. I've choreographed my heroes, I've taught dance in every corner of the world, and I even put up tours with the likes of Alicia Keys. I mean, I built a life I never thought was possible and accomplished things that surprised even me. But beyond that, the power in this world of dance is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's the only thing I've witnessed that can impact people so intimately who have nothing else in common. The visceral reaction people have while dancing, or even just watching it, it links everyone on this earth in a real-time, physical, and deeply personal way. So yes, I'm a teacher, a director, and a choreographer. But the way I got here wasn't the way you think. And before you think this is another follow your dream speech, stick with me. See, since I was very young, I wanted to be a doctor. I followed every expectation of my family. I got good grades. I did what I was supposed to. My mother was a nurse with incredible work ethic, so I knew that I wanted to help people change lives and do important work. My work would be medicine, and dance, that would be my daydream. But see, after college, something happened. Even though I love medicine, I just didn't feel motivated to jump into med school. Something held me back and would not let me move forward. I rationalized it in so many ways, but really at the end of it, I physically could not commit to the life I thought I was supposed to live. Because when your calling is so insistent upon you that it sabotages even your own plans, you have to follow along, right? So I did. I took a break, got a job in IT. I still danced and immersed in dance culture, trained and took classes, but it was a hobby. Well, somehow, I found myself having an aha moment while on my very first gig. See, I booked the MTV Video Music Awards. I mean, I was lucky. I was one of 2 dancers chosen to be on top of a giant tour bus as it rolled in front of MTV Video Music Awards in Radio City Hall with Ludacris to move me, get out the way. It was glorious. I mean, I had the hot pants, I had the cut-up shirt, I had a magnificent curly fro. You couldn't tell me anything, okay? But my building was right in front of Radio City. So all of this happened right in front of my offices, okay? So as I'm living my very best life, I look over, and in the crowd, I see my reality in the form of my bosses, the heads of IT, looking very curiously back at me. So when I'm having this aha moment on top of that bus, I realized, wait, this is a job? I mean, you're paying me for this? The pure joy of expressing my art? It was my first epiphany that I could do what I love, that I could be a dancer and choreographer, that I, in fact, already was those things, and this was just a manifestation. This had been living inside me all along, but I pushed it so deep and so far back that I had no choice but to come out as daydreams throughout my life. And what do I mean by daydreams? I'm not talking about picturing lottery tickets or cars or take me away escapisms. I mean visions of you doing something you were very passionate about to the nth degree, a vision of your truest, freest self. And these daydreams aren't like real dreams either. You don't shake them off and move on when you're done. They live inside you. They sit in your marrow and they chase you from the inside out. They persist to give you hints at what your place in this world truly is and what actually makes you happy, not what people tell you happiness is. See, I spent a lot of time trying to fit the mold of what I thought people wanted me to be. I was born in Eritrea, East Africa, and my mom and I, we fled to the US to escape war. Now, running from conflict instills a sense of fear in you, and you seek stability to balance that conflict. Yes, and doctor, lawyer, nurse, engineer, stability. And even if you're not running from those things and you just want a better life for your kids and you want them to have more than what you had, this comes with a tremendous will to succeed. I inherited my family's work ethic. I mean, my mom, she was fierce. She was a single mom, enrolled at university, full-time working nurse, cooking incredible masterpieces, home every night to make sure I was loved. That's how I grew up. So I understood why they didn't approve. I mean, the practicality comes from a sense of instability. I totally understood. I mean, we share the same values, of course I did. And the last thing that I wanted was to disappoint them. In fact, nothing scared me more except for one thing, and that was to not live up to my own potential. It was my greatest fear. To know everything that I was capable of and to do absolutely nothing about it. So fear was on both sides of the fence. You know, when I see my dancers or students or even artists fighting in a sweaty room, I can see what they're going through just by how they dance. I see all the people that told me they weren't good enough. I see their doubts, their fears, their battle for identity, the fight they had with someone they loved. It was written all over their bodies and how they move. And see, dance is not just one thing. It's not just a career. It's their livelihood. It's their ability to eat, to survive, and sometimes feels like it determines their self-worth, their relationships. Everything hinges on this one thing. And there's so much doubt involved with it. It feels like a battle for your life sometimes. And I'm trying to help them navigate this. At the same time, trying to figure out my own path. See, practicality hid my calling from me. You don't know that it's going to work out when you jump. You just don't. You know, how am I going to commit to a life that had no guarantee of success, no stability? How do you do that? But see, I decided early on that I would tackle it. I would tackle this practicality issue. I decided I would find a way to be practical in everything that I did. So that included using everything I ever knew or learned while gaining new skills along the way for this. I mean, I stayed up late creating my own websites. I figured out how to code, Flash, HTML. I built websites for other people. I freelanced. I made logos. I learned Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Dreamweaver, anything that I could. At the same time, I discovered this website called YouTube. Threw my dance videos on there. Lo and behold, I become the first ever choreographer followed online. And from that, I'm teaching, sharing, traveling everywhere. Had to build a business under that from scratch. At the same time, I'm designing a streetwear brand for dancers, sold t-shirts, sweats, hoodies, anything that I could. Build a brand from that, had partners, business plans, pitched to investors, all of these things. These were aha moments along the way. Me figuring out what I needed to do to be. I was using all of the practical and experiential knowledge I had inside the dream of my life. And it paid off. When I wanted to be a doctor, it was to help people, do important work, change lives. Well, through dance, through traveling all the world, teaching, through touching people, through powerful shows with huge icons, with big ideas, through mentoring young artists, I was doing exactly that. See, dance was my medicine. The way I thought I'd get here by being a doctor, that was my fear of instability. That was in my head. But see, I was still an anomaly to the world outside of dance. I'd run into folks from college from time to time, and now they're doctors and lawyers, incredible professionals themselves, and they would all ask me the same thing. Are you still doing that dancing thing? I mean, I'd heard it all. I've heard it all. I've had interventions with concerned family. I've had multiple sit-downs to get me to see straight. And what I was hearing, though, wasn't hostility. It was fear, concern, and love. But this type of love didn't help me. How could I get them to see all I'd accomplished, but in their language, on their terms? How could I get them to see what I saw? Well, I was sitting one day in Starbucks, and I got a call from a well-known artistic director to work on Michelle Obama's Move Your Body campaign. I mean, this was an incredible opportunity. It was a collaborative effort with many different choreographers, and I would never see Michelle, but the process was priceless. It gave me a small portion of one of the most prized currencies in all of choreography, access. Access here meant through this director, I would also get a chance at my dream artist on her next big breakout music video. I mean, everybody was vying for a spot. I was honestly really intimidated. But the time for daydreaming was over. This right here, this was the real thing. So I got to work. I focused my creation time thinking about not what made me great, but what made me different. And there was nothing more self-defining to me than my culture as an Eritrean woman. And wouldn't you know it, this video was set to be a major female anthem, so I was super excited. It was perfect. I would research the iconic women of East Africa because the strength of the women in my culture was a legendary thing to me and my family. The resilience, the spirit, and when they danced, man, they got down. I mean, they leapt in the air, beating their drums, all ages. And they swung their hair and their neck. It was so powerful, yet so graceful and feminine, but most of all, it was all about the shoulders. I mean, they had this syncopation, this rhythm. It was like a hit and a shimmy and an accent. It was everything. I'd never seen anything like it except growing up. It was everything the artist asked for and more. It was feminine, powerful, and universal. The artist loved it. She made it a solo in a video with 100 dancers. I mean, I was ecstatic. I was on the ceiling. It was just the intro, just the very beginning, but it was mine. It was my mother's. It belonged to every woman in a legacy I was born to. And the video ended up winning a Best Choreography VMA. Now, as a lesser contributing choreographer, I didn't get a Moon Man statue, but what I did get was a phone call from my mother. And she saw that Run the World video, and she said, wow, look at Beyonce. She's doing our dance, and she's doing it so well. That was everything to me. I mean, I'd taken something taboo in my culture, and I used it to represent us. And my mama loved it. That was my Moon Man. See, everything begins in a daydream, the most flighty of all things, the very definition of what you're not supposed to do to be successful. But what they're missing is the vision isn't singular. It encompasses not just your thing, but everything that comes with it. See, practicality is the unseen backbone of your daydream. Once you jump, you have to figure it all out. You have to pull into many extremely different sides of yourself. That's the true leap, to be everything you need to be inside the dream of your life. Do you know what your friends, your parents, your children, do you know what they daydream about? Have you ever asked them? Because this is who they are. See, the stigma of daydreams comes from the idea that time spent dreaming could be spent doing. But it's not a frivolous thing. It's a glimpse into your truest self. And that self needs you to use every bit of that incredible brain of yours to make that dream come true. Recognize your daydream for what it really is. Don't just try it. Be practical and relentless in your pursuit. Use everything you are. And mostly, set yourself apart. I tell my dancers, dance for the stages you want to be on, not the room you're in. Visualize what your future looks like and find yourself there. Because the thing is, we're not guaranteed support or recognition. That's not why we do this. There has to be a bigger reason, a driving force. Stability, see, is a mirage here. Practicality can seem like stability a lot of times, but I'm here to tell you it's an illusion. Because as you push higher and higher towards your potential, the air gets thinner and thinner. That's because a dream is a dream, but your process is a part of that dream that lives outside in the physical world. It's a real and tangible thing, and you can move it forward with every action you take. There are a million reasons why I should have played it safe and taken the proven route. But my daydream, my calling was too powerful, too insistent, and most of all, it never shut down. It gave me my life, it gave me my happiness, and it helped me find my ludicrous moment and my Beyonce shake. Thank you.